I remember the first time I came to Port Townsend. I'd come out west to join my friend Tad for a couple of fish shows at the gorge. And I told him, if I'm gonna come all the way out there from Atlanta, I'm gonna stay for a couple of days after the shows and do some hiking out on the Olympic Peninsula. Great, he said. I'll show you where I live. It's this little town called Port Townsend. I'll never forget coming back from the shows in his Volkswagen van, driving down the S-curves into town for the first time, seeing the bay sparkling in front of us and the sailboat masts peeking up out of the marina, snow-capped mountains on the other side of the water. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And it was love at first sight. The next day, I started making a list of reasons to move to Port Townsend. Tad said, well, if you're gonna live here, you have to see more of the town. So we spent an entire day just bumming around. We played darts at the Uptown pub. We shopped for groceries at Aldrich's. This was about 2 weeks before the whole place burned to the ground. We ambled around Chetsamoka Park. We wandered the musty stacks of books at William James. We wandered through the boatyard and relaxed in the garden at the brewery. It was the perfect Port Townsend day. A few days later, I flew home, quit my job, packed my truck, and moved across the country. I'd been here for about 3 months when Tad was killed in a car accident. I was devastated. I felt abandoned, lost. And Port Townsend held me. The people at the brewery became my second family, and the brewery itself became my home away from home. My friends cried with me. They shook their fists and yelled at God with me. And they propped me up until I could stand on my own. Nobody asked where I came from. Nobody cared who I voted for. Nobody cared how old I was, what kind of job I had, or how much money I made. I was woven into the fabric of community. And I share this with you now because if you're new to town or if you're thinking about moving here, I believe that you have an obligation to maintain that sense of togetherness. I encourage you to support those who are already here and nourish those who will come next. Ask yourself how you can be the arms that embrace, the hands that help, the voice that consoles. Whether you arrived here by boat, by U-Haul, or by Volkswagen van, I suspect that community is what brought you here in the first place. Because that is the magic that is Port Townsend.